Hey friend, welcome to the Playful Art and Heart podcast. I'm Janice, artist, founder of Hamletta Studios, and your friendly reminder that life is better when we make room to play. Around here, we talk about escaping overwhelm, putting ourselves first, and bringing more play, creativity, and heart into everyday life. It's part reflection, part pep talk, and a soft invitation to slow down, breathe, and play again. Hello, welcome back to the Playful Art and Heart podcast. I'm Janice, and today I want to talk about finding out who we truly are, listening to that inner voice inside us that is trying to communicate with us. And most people I have found will ignore this voice, much like I did for a majority of my life, which is there is something that you are called to do on this earth. And you've known it since you were little, and the practicality of life has stripped that voice away from you, or at least it strips the ability to hear that voice. And I think most people will be very practical and logical and say, that's something I can't do. I can't listen to that voice because it's not going to serve me and it's not going to lead me to something that helps me financially. So for me, it was the ability to be creative and make art. And I've known this since I was little that this is something I freaking love. Okay. I know that I love dreaming up characters. I love giving them personality. Did this as a child. I would have all my stuffed animals lined up in bed. Every single one of them had a name. Every single one of them had a personality. And they all had chats. They would talk to each other. They all had beliefs. They had disagreements. I had this entire inner world, and I would draw them. I would fill up notebooks with little stories. I would draw the characters over and over again, would give them new hairstyles. I would give them different clothing. I would draw them from different angles. That was just something I did. It wasn't schoolwork. It wasn't assigned to me. I would carry this notebook around with me. And I remember one year at summer camp, I got another girl to do it with me. We both carried notebooks and we both drew stories and wrote down little sentences about what they were doing on each page. And I remember loving it so much. But I don't know when it really stopped. I think life just took hold and, I was told you had to do this, and that, homework, schoolwork, practice your math, all this. And I've always known that I love this. And I've always been drawn to media that were very similar to the characters that I would draw. And one of them was the Powerpuff Girls. And by the time Powerpuff Girls came out and when I discovered it, I was probably too old for its demographic. I don't know. But I think I was like maybe 10 or 11 at the time when I discovered Powerpuff Girls. And I actually didn't even have a Cartoon Network. I didn't even have the channel that it was shown on. It was like a premium channel back in the day. So we had cable, but we had to pay extra for these extra channels. And my parents did not pay for those. And so what I ended up doing, I found them through a magazine ad, just an ad. And I was obsessed with the look of them because the characters that I drew were predominantly based on one particular rag doll that I have. I say had, but I still have her. So that's why I say that because she's literally still sitting in my closet to this day. Um, but I have this rag doll. Her name is Kimberly, and she has bows in her hair, and she has pigtails, and in my mind, the stories that I made up about her, she's this super, super confident girl. She knows her worth. She knows she's beautiful. She knows she's the best at everything, but yet she's also really kind, empathetic, a total girl's girl, and is a great friend and is there for you when you need her. And I saw that personality in Bubbles. Bubbles is one of the characters in Powerpuff Girl, and she has giant, beautiful eyes, and she has blonde pigtails, and she is very sweet, innocent, caring, loves animals, can talk to animals, and I don't even know how I know this. I think I must have watched the show after. Maybe I didn't even know it when I was drawing, but I was just drawn to all 3 of the Powerpuff Girls, and I just thought they were so fun, and I would find any picture I could find of them, and I just probably printed them off the internet. Back then, video was not very accessible online. To watch a video, you'd have to wait like half an hour for the video to load, and it may not even load. And so I didn't watch any videos for a long time until much later when I did get Cartoon Network. I would find any picture of them I could find in magazines, on the internet. I would print them out and I would draw them. I would just copy the picture, draw them over and over again, and I would have stacks of papers. And I think I just used marker to draw the outline, and then I would color with crayon. And like I just had a ton. And at some point, I hung up like a line, like a string across my bedroom, and hung them all up with clothespins. My parents never allowed me to put anything on the walls, so I had to find clever ways to tie up string around the room so that I could hang things up and see them. This was all done outside of schoolwork, outside of school, and in the privacy of my bedroom. I loved it. I was so immersed in drawing the Powerpuff Girls, and I was completely obsessed with them. Another series that I really liked were Archie comics. I have hundreds of comic books. When I was little, they would sell their digests, like little books, the single digest, the double digest. They would be at the grocery store at the stands, and my parents would buy them for me. Every time we go grocery shopping, I would get another one. And I read them all the time. I would reread them. I would draw them. I even tried to like submit to their drawing contests, or you can submit a drawing and maybe they'll publish it, but I don't think I was ever selected. I also loved that whole world. I never watched Riverdale. I watched a little bit, but it was so far from the cute characters that I see on the comic books. I wasn't totally drawn to. I think they made it really dark. Um, but in the comic books, there it's really lighthearted, even though Archie never could decide between Betty and Veronica, which was annoying because Betty was clearly the better choice. And I loved Jughead and how much he loved to eat. But now in hindsight, I'm like, oh, he's got some unresolved problems with food. When I was little, it was all funny. And I just loved having a world where characters lived and they had stories and they had personalities. And so fast forward to today, I am building out my own little world of characters. I run Hamletta Studios, and as I create this world, I am drawn to certain themes when I think about what stories I want to tell and what the whole point of it is. I don't want to tell a story for no reason with no point at the end. And I've been really drawn to the idea of authenticity and just being really, really true to who you are. And I think at the core, that is something I am very, very good at. My own personal story is I've always loved art, but I never got to take any art classes as a child. I didn't take a single art class until I signed up for my first one, I think, in high school. And then I also took them in college. And then now, as a grown up, I can take an art class if I wanted to, mostly online now. But what I was trying to say is, I'm really drawn to the idea of authenticity and listening to that inner voice and being true to ourselves. And I think many, many people don't listen to that voice because society tells you you need to be a certain way. And I think the truth is, if we were truly ourselves, it may not be presentable to society. Um, Now that I'm a mother and I see children, and that you will always remember, like, oh, there's like one kid who was being really weird, and people will say things like, oh, he's so and so is so weird. But now I think of that one weird kid as the like how wonderful it is that he is or she is or they are able to be the true form of themselves. So what if we're a little weird? Weird is good. Weird is what makes us special. Why do we want to be like everyone else? Why do we want to walk the path of life like everyone else and like the people we've known, or maybe just exactly like our parents? I don't think that is what we should strive for. I think we should strive to be unique and be an individual and understand what it is that we are called to do. And everybody's calling is going to be different. And you may be thinking, I don't really care about drawing characters and making a world of them, but what is it that you care about? What is it that's calling you? And maybe it's cooking, maybe it's baking, maybe it's calligraphy, maybe it's a sport, maybe it is creating your own clothes, maybe it's designing clothes, maybe it is creating animations. I don't know what it is. And it may not even be a form of um craft or art. It could be, I really want to design apps and I want to change the world that way. Or maybe it is fixing up cars. Maybe, who knows? There is something that definitely calls out to everybody. And you may feel self conscious declaring it to the world. Maybe you are someone that's never presented themselves as loving to knit. And all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, because you will have known, but you fear judgment telling people that this is something that is really special to you and that you're really drawn to. And maybe the people around you are not into it and they think it's weird, quote unquote, weird. So what? Let them think it's weird. Because I really truly feel that when we pursue something that is authentic to us, that calls out to us, that we shine. I think too often people try to put themselves in boxes like, okay, well, this is a really practical career path. I am going to go to medical school and I am going to be a doctor. And this is exactly what my life is going to look like. I am going to go into the medical field and I'm going to be a doctor. And that's great. Being a doctor is a really noble thing. But is it your calling, or is it because everybody around you when you were young said, oh, that's wonderful, and you internalize that external validation that, oh, this is something worthy to pursue? Or is it because you really have a calling to help people and that this gives you much joy in life? And if it is, then that's great. But if it's not, what is it that is calling out to you? So I want you to think this week about what it is that is calling out to you to be the truest form of yourself. What is it? And for me, I know it is something in this area of creating art, of creating a world of characters, storytelling. It is authenticity, helping people figure out what is true to them. And I am also still figuring it out, and I am using my voice to figure it out. So here's me talking about figuring it out. And I would love for you to join me on this journey of figuring it out. Now, a positive affirmation I have for you this week. It is I have something very special inside of me that I need to share with the world. Okay, I have something very special inside of me that I need to share with the world. And here is a journaling prompt for you to reflect on this week. If there were no rules, no society, nothing, what would I be doing? If I didn't have to make money, if I didn't have to care about rent, what is it? If I had all the money in the world, what is it that I would be spending my days doing? And while it's great to rest and sleep and eat all the fancy foods if you had all the money in the world, I mean, what is it that you are called to make, to create? What is it? What could it be? So think about it and feel free to reach out to me and let me know. Now, if this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to share it with a friend. You can also sign up for my newsletter for weekly inspiration. You can sign up at hamlettastudios.com. And you can find the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will talk to you next time.